Good morning, Pretties. It's Alison with Get Your Pretty On, and it is our Wednesday coffee chat. So this morning, we are going to talk about comfort zones and challenging comfort zones and all the good stuff that's on the other side of the comfort zone. This has been a theme in my life lately, so maybe it'll apply to you too. Even if you think this doesn't apply to you, I really want you to watch all the way to the end because I have a little challenge for you to do, and it might be eye-opening for you. But first of all, if you've ever heard the saying that everything you've ever wanted lies just outside your comfort zone, I have been completely testing this theory lately. I feel like there have been a lot of things that have happened in my personal life, which I've talked about on here, that have been transitions for our family. First off, our daughter Aubrey went off to college. She left in mid-August. And we've had a special relationship her entire time at home. Like, she's done everything with Craig and I. We joked that we've always had a third wheel on our dates because Aubrey's always with us, and she's been my best friend. We've done everything together. So I think that transition was a little bit harder on me than I thought it was going to be. So that's the first thing that happened. The second thing is that Ava, our youngest, our 14-year-old, homeschooled the past 2 years, and then she transitioned back into public school this year. So she's not home with us all day anymore either. And then Craig has been traveling the past 3 weeks straight. So I had a lot of time to spend by myself and to really just think about this new season of life that's starting, to grieve the old season of life that is ending, and to think about, what does this next chapter hold, and to just kind of embrace the time that I'm heading into. And I feel like it's sort of a little bit of a mini empty nest for us because Ava's still home, but she's the most socially active person I've ever met in my entire life. She's a total extrovert. She's always with her friends. She's always at the barn with her horse. And so Craig and I are starting to get little tastes of what empty nest is going to be like. And, with all the familiar routines gone and Craig gone, then, I've had to just come to this realization that I have to be intentional about what the next chapter is going to look like, and, get out of the routines that I've been in and shake things up a little bit, because quite honestly, comfort zones are called comfort zones for a reason because they're really comfortable, right? Yes, they are. And I feel like I've almost been lulled into this sleep the past few years because everything has been just so comfortable. I haven't had to take any risks or try anything new or really step outside of that too much. And I have done a lot of things lately that have felt really brave and, quite honestly, have scared the bejesus out of me at the same time. One of them has been doing these coffee chats. It was super hard the first few times to hit go live. Every morning I still kind of have that little bit of a, am I really going to do this? Especially after yesterday's. Yesterday's was pretty racy. And if you didn't get to catch that one, you can always, I've had a couple questions, people asking if they can watch the coffee chats after they've concluded. And yes, you can. If you go to the Facebook page, if you're watching these on Instagram, go to the Get Your Pretty On Facebook page and click on videos, and you can catch all the past coffee chats that I've been doing over the past couple weeks. And this past weekend, when Craig was out of town and Ava was off having her social life with friends and Aubrey was off at school, I did a few brave things. I went to dinner and a movie by myself for the first time ever, which was really interesting. It was kind of fun. I got to pick the movie I wanted to watch. I watched Crazy Rich Asians, which was awesome. And it was it was so far out of my comfort zone, but I actually enjoyed it. And then I realized the thing that would have been even further out of my comfort zone, since I'm an introvert, would have been if I just called up and invited somebody, but I'm working on it. It's progress, right? All right. So I realized something though, that the fact is, if you're not getting out of your comfort zone on a regular basis, then you kind of stop growing. And I've felt that way over the past few years. Again, I feel like I've been lulled into this, I don't know, just kind of sleepwalking through life. And I mean, I'm completely grateful for the life that I have. I love my kids. I love my husband. I have a great marriage. My kids all seem like, they're on path. They go through their ups and downs, but right now everybody seems to be on path, and that feels really good. But that's not doing me any good, because then I'm kind of stagnating and not growing if I'm not exploring that. And Craig and I sat down last night and we had a really good conversation. We each poured a glass of wine, made a cheese board, went out on the back patio and did like this catch up, because he's been out of town so much. We just haven't really had the opportunity to reconnect. And we had a really good sermon in church a few weeks ago about how a lot of our conversations, even with our spouses and our kids and family members, stay on the surface level, and you never get down deeper to ask about the feelings behind things. So Craig had this series of questions that he prepared for me. And actually this sermon was so good, I think I want to do a whole coffee chat on it. It was so good. You can also check it out at chaseoaks.org, which is our church. But anyway, he asked me how I was feeling about certain things, like, what are you excited about? What are you looking forward to? What has been frustrating for you lately? You know, has anything made you angry lately? And just all of these questions that kind of really forced me to look at where I'm at right now. And this recurring theme was about how I feel like I'm having to get out of my comfort zone now, whereas before I wasn't having to do that. I was just satisfied with going along in my day-to-day. And he said, well, you know, don't beat yourself up over that. That was a season of life, and you were here, you know, for the kids, and Ava's still home. So, you know, our parenting job is far from over. But he said that, you know, this is a transition period. And he acknowledged too that this has probably been our biggest one so far. Devin, our oldest, went off to college too, but he was a lot like Ava, just really independent, and, you know, was really looking forward to going off to school, and had, you know, his own social life all through high school, and didn't hang out with us as much as Aubrey did. So I don't feel like, I mean, it was hard, but maybe not as much of a transition when he went off to school. So anyway, he told me to cut myself a little slack, give myself some grace, be okay with the fact that, that it was a season of life that served us all really well. And now it's time to figure out what the next one means for us as individuals, us as a married couple, us as a family of 3 still at home, and what maybe our empty nest phase is going to look like when Ava does head off to college in a few years. So it was a really good conversation, and it helped me to feel better about where we're at right now, even though we don't know what's next. And that's okay. You can be okay with not knowing. But one of the things that I did yesterday, and I found really, really helpful, since I'm having to step out of my comfort zone more, is I made a list of everything that I've ever done in my life that was outside of my comfort zone, and realized that these things were the things that led to the best things in my life. So my challenge for you today is I want you to make a list of the things that you've done that have been really far outside your comfort zone. And I'm going to go through my list, and some of these things might inspire you, or maybe you've done something similar to this, and realize that what was on the other side of taking that scary first step was probably something that's been one of the best things in your life. So I'm going to run through my list right now. The first thing on my list is going to college. I was the first person in my family to go to college, and that was really scary. I knew nothing about it. I had to learn everything as I went. And obviously that was a huge accomplishment for me. Just getting my diploma was like, that's one of the proudest things of all my accomplishments in my life. So that's a huge one on my list. The second thing on my list was moving as a single mom with a 6-month-old baby. With $50 in my checking account, I moved from Pennsylvania to Texas. And my sister was here at the time. She still is. And that's how I ended up here. But that was a big, scary move, and I had no idea what was ahead of me at that point in my life. But obviously good things, because I've been here since 1996, and I have no plans of leaving anytime soon. So again, really good things on the other side of getting through that comfort zone. All right, the next thing on my list was taking my first acting class. I had always wanted, I've been really shy, an introvert most of my life, which I've come out of my shell drastically just within the past 5 years, I would say. But when I took my first acting class in my early 30s, I was scared to death. It was a dream that was always in my heart, something I always wanted to do. And just stepping out of that comfort zone was what led to me being a a semi-professional actress in Dallas for 10 years. And I did tons of commercials and theater work and all kinds of fun stuff, and was, you know, in some independent films. I was even in a national commercial. So there was huge benefit on the other side of that. The next thing is going to my first audition, and everyone thereafter, every single time I stepped into that room, I was scared to death. But I got this rush afterwards of accomplishment and just getting out of my comfort zone and doing that. And the payoffs were huge. The next one on my list was leaving corporate America to make a full-time living from my blog. I've shared this story with several of you, how Get Your Pretty On started as a creative outlet for me. It was something I decided to do after I left the acting and print modeling stuff, because I wanted to have that creative outlet. And whenever I left corporate America, I had been blogging for about 2 years. I was making no money at blogging whatsoever. Talked to a career counselor along the way, and she's like, you know, I really think you could take the blog and turn this into a full-time job. And I said, oh, there's no way that that's ever going to happen. And she said, just take 6 months, put everything you have into this, and see what happens. So I did that. And after that 6 months, I was with 3 months of severance pay left and had absolutely no idea what I was going to do, because I still wasn't making a living yet. I knew that going back into corporate America was not an option for me, because I loved what I was doing so much and saw that it was making a difference for women. So the Get Your Pretty On early days were definitely a struggle and a huge leap of faith, but obviously that's paid off really well too. All right, so the next thing on the list was, flying to Australia alone for a business conference. I used to be terrified of flying. I'm not anymore. But yeah, getting on a direct flight from Dallas to Sydney, 17 hours, the longest direct flight in the world, was really a little bit frightening. And then on the other end of that, attending a business conference with women I had never met in real life, and being there by myself was a huge step outside of my comfort zone, but a really cool one, an awesome experience. Signing up for my first Orange Theory class and working out for a full hour for the first time in my life. I did that about 2.5 years ago, and Orange Theory, I know you guys have heard me talk about it before, but it has been seriously life-changing for me. I've done things in that class that I never thought I would be capable of, and at 45, I'm in the best shape of my life. So I can't say enough good things about stepping into that room and being brave that first time and getting through that class, and then going back and doing it over and over again. The next thing is hiring my first employee with Get Your Pretty On, even when I had no idea if I was going to be able to pay her. Yeah, that was a big step outside my comfort zone. And I knew it was something that I needed to do for Get Your Pretty On to grow and reach more people. And that paid off huge for Get Your Pretty On. And it's been an awesome decision ever since then. Talking to my doctor about bioidentical hormones. If you missed yesterday's coffee chat, you got to hear all about that. If I hadn't done that, then I wouldn't have been able to get on the other side of those issues and just feel really good again and have a solution to that. And it was scary to do that the first time. The next thing is doing these coffee chats and being vulnerable with all of you. That's, you know, one of the things that I really want to do is to be more real with the Get Your Pretty On community. And I feel like there are a lot of things that I'm probably going through that maybe you're going through too in the same life stage. And just sharing that stuff with you is really scary sometimes, but it's something I feel like I need to do. So anyway, you know, I'm not sure what the future holds, but I do know one thing, that I'm going to continue stepping outside of my comfort zone on a daily basis. And if I start to feel like I'm, you know, getting lulled back into being complacent again, then I'm going to have to realize that it's time to shake things up a little bit and find new ways to get out of my comfort zone. And, you know, one of the great things about Style Challenges by GYPO is that I see women come in all the time and they say, oh my gosh, this is so far out of my comfort zone, and I'm not going to try that piece on the shopping list, or a trend that they're scared of. And it's so funny, because almost always that one trend that they're scared of is the one thing that they end up loving more than anything else on the list. So it's just proof that stepping outside of your comfort zone is scary, and sometimes you think you're not going to like it, but a lot of times it ends up being the thing that you end up loving. So embrace that. And speaking of the challenge, tomorrow night, I'm going to do a special Facebook Live about fall fashion. So if you have any questions about that, you can either ask them on this video, I'll go through the comments and pull some of those out, or you can join our Get Your Pretty On Facebook group. It's Get Your Pretty On Pretties, Pretties, and you can just request access to that. We have a huge thread in there right now that has a bunch of questions on it, so please go ahead and join, and you can add your question in there as well. All right, so the challenge for you, I want you to list out, just grab a piece of paper right now, or if you don't have paper, grab your phone. I want you to list out all the things that you've done in your life, the significant things that you've done that were way outside of your comfort zone, and then I want you to also list what the result was of that, like what changed in your life, and think about those times when you were willing to step outside of your comfort zone and what it brought to you. Okay, so that's the first part of this exercise. The second part is, if you feel up to it, please share one of the things on your list or two of the things on your list in the comments and let us know. And I also want you to challenge yourself to do something this week that feels brave to you. And it can be something as small as calling up a friend to go for coffee, or as big as signing up for your first acting class. I don't know what that looks like for you, but I think all of you know what that looks like. So I want to challenge you to go ahead and do that, and then check in here with our other Get Your Pretty On sisters and let us know how it goes. All right, that's all I got for today. If you have any topics you'd like for me to discuss, as always, leave them in the comments or DM me on Instagram. I hope you guys have an awesome Wednesday. Bye.